And good morning. I actually did some preparation for today's talk, which is not not usually the case. The topic actually came to me yesterday, but was cemented in the meditation room this morning. And the title is Considered Dead and Then Enslaved. It's an interesting title, isn't it? The blurb goes like this. In 1666, the day before yesterday, I added that. In 1666, the Black Plague was ravaging Europe, and a huge fire broke out in London. The British Parliament passed an act that still stands till this day. It's called the Cestui Vie, or V-I-E Act. In a nutshell, the act makes the presumption that all humans are dead, considered lost at sea. At first it angered me. How dare they? Then I realized it's true. We have been lost on the seas of commerce in which our rights were forfeited. We were enslaved in the matrix and didn't even know it. Being unconscious is the same as being dead, even while apparently living. Thank God we are finally waking up and returning home to an awakened state. Now I need to change something here because I forgot 2 letters. And now I save it. Cestui, and the lawyers pronounce it Cestui, from the Old French, I'm told. And it's an old-fashioned expression for the beneficiary of a trust. Or, another definition, one who trusts, or the person who will benefit from the trust and will receive payments or a future distribution from the trust's assets. I want you to hear that number 2 definition from the Law Dictionary. Okay? The one who trusts, or the person who will benefit from the trust and will receive payments or a future distribution from the trust's assets. I'm a beneficiary of that trust. That is a world trust. Okay? Or the Saint Germain Trust. It's known by different things, but it's a world trust. We are at the point in 2012 of becoming awake enough to receive our inheritance. This is what 2012 is about. But let me back up. People weren't very awake in 1666. And it was obvious. As I said, the Black Plague was sweeping Europe. And the city of London was aflame. Or I should say, not the city-state city of London, because Parliament was still in session. But much of London was burning down, and many lives were lost. And it was also a time of exploration where many people got on the ships to explore new lands, leave Europe for destinations known or unknown. And many were lost at sea. And commerce was really beginning to take root as the age of exploration roared on in the 17th century. Explorers were going all over the world. Trade routes were being established around the Horn of Africa to the American continent, reaching Asia. All over the place, people were exploring. And the Parliament moved to say, hey, we've got all these dead people, and what do we do with their assets? Well, we will hold the assets in trust. And if they come back, we will distribute the benefits of their assets. We will hold them in trust. And that was probably the birth of modern commerce. That act of setting up a trust, a world trust, holding the assets of the dead in trust till they return and show themselves, in fact, to be alive. It didn't click yesterday, but in the meditation room this morning, the research that I did on this crazy, what seemed like an insane act, how dare they look at us as being dead? How dare they do that? How dare the Pope even earlier issue the papal bull saying that he owns all the souls on the earth? How dare they do this? How dare they? But you know, we survived some centuries after these things happened, and most of the world didn't even know that it happened. We're absolutely unaware of not only the papal bull and the act of Cestui. They weren't aware of these things, and yet they impacted their lives, and they didn't know that it impacted their lives because we were ignorant. And the prodigal son story came to me. I've told you before, I've said that again and again. The most significant parable in all of sacred scripture, in my opinion, is the story of the prodigal son, because it represents our journey into physicality. It represents and shows in a nutshell what it means to become a human being. We left our inheritance, our birthright, behind. Our spiritual identity became lost, and we ventured into a far country of apparent separation, a dualistic world where polarization reigns supreme. And how did, in that story, that parable of the prodigal son, how did the father see the son when he was in the pig pen, and even before he was in the pig pen, when he thought he was living it up and spending his inheritance and spending his wealth and thinking he was, well, he had it made, but then he didn't have it made, did he? When he came home, of course, the father ran out to meet him, excited, put a robe on him, even though the son just wanted to be a servant. Hear that? Was willing to just be a servant. But the father wouldn't have any of it. He says, no, you're an heir. You're an heir. You're a beneficiary of a trust that has been held for you. And I am the trustee. I'm guaranteeing that you're going to receive the benefit of your trust. But when the other son complained, the father said, this, the prodigal son, this, my son, was blind, but now he sees. He was dead, but now he lives again. This is our story, folks. This is our story. We were blind, but we're beginning to see. We were dead, but we're starting to claim our life back. And nothing can stop that flow of energy. Nothing. Yes, the matrix looks like it's incapable of being brought down, depending on how you look at it. And yet, if you understand that it's all consciousness, it's all becoming aware and remembering again what our inheritance is, we can claim the trust and receive the future payments, the future distribution of the trust's assets. They are our assets. This is how we create the new world. This is the awakening of the new age. Forget all the negative propaganda about New Age and other labels that we like to label and put negative connotations on things. We are spiritually waking up. This is the great awakening, the shift of the ages, as we come into our own once again. And even though we were considered dead, and we were enslaved, and we have been dead and enslaved from a conscious point of view. We have been. And these who claim to be our trustees have fallen down on the job, haven't they? Yesterday we talked about the trust and the betrayal of the trust. Well, the people that have been holding on to the trust assets and increasing them, actually, if you want to just go by what's done on paper, it's a game. It's all been a game created on paper. And of course, dead people and slaves can't own anything. So we didn't. We didn't own our houses, even if we had labored or inherited money to pay for them. Even if we owned our houses, even if we bought our automobiles, we couldn't own it because dead people can't own anything. Slaves cannot own anything. And yet slavery, as I said yesterday, is against the law in all countries. You can't own anybody else. And yet we've all been owned by somebody else. We've all been unwitting beneficiaries of a trust that we didn't know existed. It's a heavenly trust. It's a spiritual trust. And yet it has physical manifestations, great wealth, great resources, in fact, unlimited resources. If there's anything the modern financial crisis tells us, it's that wealth can be created out of nothing, out of thin air, and it can be exponentially manifested, at least as digits on a computer. And if those digits on the computer were distributed, we would not only be multimillionaires, we would probably each be a billionaire. I don't know. I don't know how much it is. But it doesn't matter. The point is, it's unlimited. It's vast. It's great. And we've been living like paupers. We've been living like beggars, begging for handouts from our governments and our corporations that have violated our trust. But we're aware that the trust exists now. We're aware that they have violated it. This is a huge, huge step in the awakening. And I want you to understand that. I want you to get that because I'm getting it. I want you to get that we have a huge inheritance coming, that this Cestui trust that has been set up is ready to be paid out. This is what Nasara is all about. This is what the reorganization of the financial world is all about. This is what the threat of mass arrests of the elite is all about. It's all about waking up in the pig pen and returning home to our inheritance, to our Father and Mother, Creator gods, the God and the Goddess. It's about restoring that which was lost, that which was dead, coming back to life again. Ah, what an amazing time we live in. I thank you for considering and listening to what I've shared with you. I think it's important. Perhaps, if you open your mind and open your heart, you will see the importance of it as well. Namaste. Bless you.